that came to me. It says, do you think it's a terrible thing to hope when there is really no reason to hope at all? And I went, okay, God, sure. All right, we'll go with that. Where do you want to go from this? And he gave me about 8 different ways. And I said, okay, here we go. So, before we even start to answer this question, we have to ask another question. What even is hope? Hope is such an abstract concept. If you try to tangibly create it, you're not going to get anything. So, what do you guys say hope is? We're not in classroom etiquette, so you feel free to just shout it out. Believing in something when you don't see it. That's a really common answer. And correct, exactly. You're just extra smart, Elizabeth. Does anyone else have any other answers? Possibilities of change, that's a good one. Positive expectation. Believing in something when you don't think it can happen. Yeah. Isn't that just faith? You'd think, yeah. When I asked, for anyone who doesn't know, I work at a disability service center. When I asked them what they said hope was, the very first answer was, hope is when God keeps us and helps us. The next most common answer was that hope is the same as family, that family is what brings them hope. And the third most common answer was that having hope is the same as having happiness. When I looked up what the definition of hope was from the world standard, it was trust, similar to what we were saying earlier, trust in things that are going to happen, trust in things that we can't see. It was also optimism, just what Ed was saying, having wanting things to happen, waiting for things to happen. But my favorite definition was that to hope is to expect with confidence, to say, I am waiting for this to happen and I know it's going to happen.
That was my answer.
So this is an analogy I found. Imagine you wake up in a dark, abandoned room. You feel like you can't move and you can't see anything. It's getting difficult for you to breathe. The darkness is suffocating. Your heartbeats are getting harder and faster. You know that you need to escape, but you can't find a way out. You can't think. The darkness feels like it's poisoning your very thoughts, and you're slowly giving up. But then, once you see the light, you try to get up. You try and you try and you try. You have no idea if you're going to succeed, and if the light's coming from somewhere that you can even reach, but you're determined to get to it. That is hope. So then, what does the Bible say? Does it confirm or deny any of what we have? Hebrews 6:17 talks about God and his promises. So it says, because God wanted to make the unchanging nature of his purpose very clear to the heirs of what was promised, he confirmed it with an oath. God did this so that by two unchangeable things, in which it is impossible for God to lie, we who have fled take hold of the hope set before us, may be greatly encouraged. We have this hope as an anchor for the soul, firm and secure. It enters the inner sanctuary behind the curtain, where our forerunner, Jesus, has entered on our behalf. He has become a high priest forever in the order of Melchizedek. Romans 5:1-2. Therefore, since we have been justified through faith, we have peace with God through our Lord Jesus Christ, through whom we have gained access by faith into this grace in which we now stand, and we boast in the hope of the glory of God. Romans 8:22-25. We know that the whole creation has been groaning as in the pains of childbirth, right up to the present time. Not only so, but we ourselves, who have the first fruits of the Spirit, groan inwardly as we await eagerly for our adoration to sonship, the redemption of our bodies. For in this hope we are saved. But hope that is seen is no hope at all. Who hopes for what they already have? But if we hope for what we do not have, we wait for it patiently. These verses really capture, I think, the analogy that I showed you before, where that darkness is the world and that light is Jesus. And the darkness is all around us, encompassing us, inside us, outside of us, everywhere. And until we see that light, we don't have anything to motivate us to even try. On top of that, the world's definition of to expect with certainty, that's what we have in the future for God. Jesus has already come down and given us that light. But unlike in the analogy where we don't know if we can reach that light, we, in the hope of God, expect with certainty that we're going to get there, that that light is reachable, that we can get there and we can be in that where we don't have to be in the darkness anymore. So why is it even important to hope? This is another way of phrasing that opening question. Does it matter to hope, honestly, at all? Isn't it just an emotion that we feel, part of our personality? Does it matter to anyone but us? After all, if I have hope and you don't, well, shouldn't it be whatever? And honestly, who has time to waste on optimism? Have you watched the news recently? Right? Like, why would I waste time looking for that light when I can accept the reality of the darkness I'm in? The world actually tells us not to hope. I've been fortunate enough to be raised in a family and in a community that has always encouraged hope. But while I was researching this sermon, I found countless things of almost desperate cries, people saying, don't listen to what everyone says. Don't listen to what everyone says. And I was thinking, are you telling me not to hope? What? But really, this is what they're saying. Hope has, much like faith, like Sheena was saying, hope has become something that's false. It's blind hope. It's false hope. It's not realistic. Why would I spend time wasting time looking for the light? It's childish. You see little kids have hope all the time, but oftentimes the things that they hope for are, yeah, I'm going to hope that I get a house made of lollipops or any of that kind of stuff, right? And so we think, oh, hope is just a childish idea. I don't need that. I'm an adult. I can handle it. That it's lazy, that you're just not, that hope is something that you use to not deal with reality. You're not strong enough to deal with how dark the world is, so you have this fake hope